Hey guys, and welcome. In today's video I want to talk about the current loot spawn system and suggestions for improvement that I found interesting. Before we dive in, let's start with the conclusion. Many people like to think they're suggesting a fix to the system, while they are actually suggesting a new loot system which would just replace the existing one. I have also heard terms like easy fix, simple fix, fast fix. I doubt you can fix a loot system rather than replace it with something else unless there are severe bugs happening like loot spawning in mid-air, etc. That said, there's also no easy or fast fix, as even the simplest things like changing the loot spawn behavior of items, which we will discuss in a bit, is not just a simple thing. A lot of things need to be considered, both from a technical point of view as well as from an economical one. For many out there, the current loot spawn system seems problematic because it can be exploited by running to certain spots, and while it is a noble cause to try and make things better, fixed spawns are for a reason. Mentioning noble, have you tried noble chairs yet? They are very comfortable to sit in, will provide your back stability for many hours of working or gaming, and are insanely good looking. Today's video is not sponsored by Noble Chairs, and therefore there is no 10% off code with .10. Seriously, there isn't. Many online survival game developers that want to reward their players with findable extra items or loot face similar questions. Do I want to have loot laying around? Are there crates that players can search? How do we spread the loot? To better understand some of the challenges, we once again need to look at the communication between the server and the client. While it seems easy to spread some items here and there, every spawned item needs to be sent to the client. The way this happens in Escape from Tarkov is at the very beginning of each instance or raid. The server will send us a massive cluster of data that contains various things, and one of them is the loot that has been distributed all over the map. It also contains the location of the loot, and thus often enough causing your loading screen to stutter a little bit. But because we've got that information before our character spawned in, we don't need to load it mid-raid. That means we get a more lag-free experience, and I'd like to think that this was the intention behind it from BSG. Of course, we are still receiving loot spawns mid-raid, an example when a new AI spawns. That is one of the reasons you sometimes get stutters when they spawn in, because your client receives that data and needs to process it as quickly as possible. The above means that we have fixed loot spawns locations on each map. A function determines for each loot spawn which item is going to be in your raid. Each item has a chance to spawn, which is often based on a weighting system. It is like when you set up a wheel spin and give a certain category a bigger chance to win by increasing their size. Of course, all spawns are also tied to something called a loot table. The table has numerous items in it that have the possibility to appear in the loot spawn. To make areas more interesting to get into, like locked rooms, some tables contain very valuable items while others have common items. The entire system therefore has been implemented to avoid bigger data chunks to be sent to the connected client throughout the raid and to have valuable items available in high risk or locked areas. Now, as far as I can see, this system is not optimized, while a huge factor to increase diversity is bound to a better, more reliable and stable synchronization between the server and client. So these things need to be fixed first before any alteration to how loot is spawned can be made. That all said, there were some interesting suggestions about how things could run in the future. My main problem with most of them is that they do not aim to improve the system itself, but focus on a fix to things these people are considering a problem. These include players not staying very long in a raid, being able to put items in a secure container while not running much gear, and so on. That has nothing to do with the loot spawn system, but is a personal issue they perceive when playing the game. Any easy fix that requires the game to constantly load new items in and therefore syncing it between a server and client is neither easy nor a fix. So if we assumed that the connection is stable, fast and reliable, we could start thinking about some new features. Loot only spawning in when a player comes close enough to it, an example. Or random events like crate drops, helicopter crashes, or AI armies protecting a VIP AI with some good loot. Items being covered in mud or something and not examinable until brought out of raid with a chance to be super rare. AI carrying loot around, picking loot up, stashing it someplace else. Or AI picking up and using a dead player's gear, maybe trying to extract it themselves. The possibilities are endless, but often require a strong underlying server-client synchronization. That is yet not the case. So before we start thinking about fixing anybody's personal issues, we should focus to improve the game architecture and infrastructure. Okay, I hope I made clear that there is no easy fix and as of now none needed, that the video was helpful to you and that you enjoyed some of it. So thank you very much for watching. Have an awesome rest of the day and stay safe. Bye bye guys.